she went out and found her hula skirt. Okay. And she did her best hula. She said, I went to work in that hula skirt. All right.
A lot of women are saying, not Nia Long. If Nia Long got cheated on, then I have no chance, right?
It's not true.
Yeah.
That self-esteem, though. I want to know, why do men cheat? Why are men tempted to cheat nowadays? Can we talk about that? I think the biggest thing is social media, but I would love to hear what y'all have to say regarding boundaries, regarding social media. Or as men, what tempts y'all?
I'm gonna tell you what tempts men. All right. Well, you talking about cheating? Well, first of all, if you're in a covenant relationship with your wife, the biggest thing that to make your man cheat is when, I'm sorry, when it's not happening in the bedroom. That's one of the biggest things that'll make men cheat. If you're not doing those things, if y'all are not doing those things, all right, now that's a very simplistic way to look at it, but that's one of the biggest things. Number two, if the man doesn't feel respected, if the man doesn't feel respected, he's going to find a way to get respected, and he's going to find a way to feel good about himself. So he didn't come to a home where he is made to feel good about himself. He's going to find some floozy out there to make him feel good about himself. And that's not putting the onus on the woman. I'm just trying to tell you some of the things that cause men to cheat. It's not okay for the man to cheat at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I love y'all follow Rebecca Barrett. She dropped a nice video on this earlier today. But yeah, those are some of the things. Now you have to keep in mind, you also need to make sure that you're doing the things that makes your wife want to have sex with you. Okay. But those are some of the two biggest things. What's important to men, because this is what we signed up for. We didn't get married just because, we wanted to enter into covenant. All right. Come on, listen. We didn't, brothers. You did not just get married because you said, you know what, I want to get into covenant relationship with this woman. I just want to get in covenant relationship. I'm not interested in I'm not interested in that. I just want to get in covenant relationship. Just forget. No. Come on, now, come on. Let's be real, brothers. You know why you do it. All right. So that's one of the things.
Right.
All right, but we also need to make sure that we are doing some of those things to make our wives feel good about it. All right. But those are the two things, because I don't want to talk too much, but those are the two biggest things. Lack of it happening, because it's amazing. In some other cultures, they go years without it. All right. Years without doing it in their marriage. And they think it's okay. And then they turn around and the man cheats, but like, well, how could you? I'll tell you how you could. Because I got a 6-year-old son, and the last time he had some, my son wasn't born. Okay? That's how we could do it. All right. I got a 6-year-old son in the first grade. Listen. All right. So that's one. And then also two, the lack of respect or the disrespect, either one of those two. Right. So
definitely.
That's all I'm gonna say for it right now.
Thank you, bro. How about you, Lou? Why do you think men are tempted to cheat? Why do they cheat?
Yeah, man, I think Jermaine hit some really valid points there. Those are obviously huge things. I do also think that I think at the core of it, right? Besides just the normal fact that when Adonai moved in, Adam didn't totally move out, right? So besides that, and that we live in this sinful flesh, and just we have that going on. Within us, sin is just waiting to, present itself or give us an opportunity to flesh things out. I think another reason that men cheat is just they have a like you have a picture, right, of who you think your wife is or who you think your wife should be, right? And if at some point guys have a picture of who their wife should be, and maybe this is something that they conjured up in their own mind, right? And they marry the person and they realize that person isn't really who they thought that person was, right? And then they start looking around and they find a person who fits that description of that, image that they have in their minds. And then the eyes start wandering, usually doesn't start, it's not just, instant. You start wandering, the mind starts wandering. You start considering, start fantasizing, start compromising, conversations that shouldn't even be happening are happening. And then before you know it, the guy falls into that, heinous sin. So I think that that's another thing. It's just like having this picture of who your spouse is that isn't real. And then when it comes to the point where you realize that, oh, okay, that's not really who I married, and you don't have the conviction, within you to say that, hey, like God brought me into this marriage for a reason, and I'm going to make this work. I'm going to love this person because she's in this covenant with me, right? If you don't have that and you don't work things out and end up in the marriage that God designed for you and that person, not the person that you thought they were, then you could end up in some problems as well.
Yes, and when you talk about fantasies, I think about the fact that there are some men who have these porn addictions. Let's keep it real. Yeah. They've created these fantasies.
Yes.
And now they're expecting that woman to be their prom, whatever you want to call it, since on YouTube, but that star for them. Right. And that can cause a lot of confusion there because you're expecting this to be done when in reality, this woman is trained to do this stuff with experience, with miles in her body to be able to do all that. And you expect a woman to come in because of those fantasies that you had. And that's a bad playing field. Women, and women don't think about it, but those addictions have to be taken into account. Okay, it's supposed to be normalized because the world is doing it. But I think at some point in time, you're going to have to really sit down and talk about those things because it can be serious, especially to your mental as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So thank you for that commentary. I'm going to go to Dre on this one. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, I agree with both of the brothers that spoke because it really is all facts. And within a marriage, sex is an important thing. But it's not everything. And it's not everything. Men desire that physical connection with their spouses, right? But let's keep it real. Men will desire that from almost anyone. But when they get married, right, they in essence, and it's not a bad thing, they expect it from their wives because with it comes no shame. There's no shame in this. So we got married, and my wife, I'm your husband. I want to have this connection as often as I can. And it's not like I married you because of this connection.
Right.
Right? This is one of the benefits. I married you to protect you for the most case, for a good Christian man. I married you because I wanted to be that protector, provider, leader for you, right? Amen. And one of the additional benefits to this is that we have this connection. Because let's keep it real. There is no closer connection that a man can have with anybody else than when he's inside his wife. So, for a lot of men, within a marriage, that is a huge weight to hold. And I'm not talking about like a weight, like a burden, right? Like this is something that I'm giving to my wife. Like I want to have this experience with you. I married you because I want to have this experience with you, and it's a loving expectation to have this, but when I don't have it, right, and I'm not getting this connection, and I'm desiring this connection, the enemy, right, will seek who he will devour, right? And again, you're not going to find a strong man at his weakest, at a weaker point than that of when he's not getting affection from his wife. Mm. And the thing is, the devil knows what he's doing. And here's the thing, wives, if a man cheats, it's because he was tempted in that specific shortcoming, that temptation that he was dealing with. All right, but what wives have to understand is part of protecting your husband in that area is providing love to him in that area as well. Not like a chore, but providing that love to him as well.
Amen.
Because you want to.
And I'm not saying the onus is on the women for the man not to cheat. What I am saying is giving him that, that connection will cause the enemy not to have that kind of strong of a foothold on him. Right. When he's not getting it from you, right? And then he's at work, right? And he's at the water cooler. And Cindy sees him at the water cooler and wants to spark up a conversation. Then the next day, she sees him at the water cooler, and now she's wearing a low V-cut, shirt with a form-fitting pencil skirt, right? and she drops her pencil on purpose so that she can bend down and get it. The devil operates like this, okay? And the women, like wives don't realize the power they have to even protect their husbands in this area, right? And then, some women are quick to say, well, I'm not responsible for that. He cheated. You're absolutely right. And because he's a leader, he will be held accountable before God, right? Before God. But then you got to ask yourself this question. Why aren't you fulfilling what the Bible says in First Corinthians? Why aren't you giving him, that part of you? And if it's any selfish reason, then my sister, you're going to have to own up to that also. And you're going to be held accountable for that as well.
Yes.
Right? But then there's some dogs out there that are just going to cheat.
Just because, and it's a part of their everyday life. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that cheating is not just the act. It's everything before that, in my opinion. It's the sneaky text that you knew that your wife did not see. It's all that behind the scenes that leads to that final act. And that's what we have to realize, too. I didn't cheat on her because I didn't sleep with the woman. But you're doing everything else. You're flirting with her. You're loving these pictures that you knew you shouldn't have been doing. So you got to realize that. Go ahead, Jermaine. I see your hand up.
Yeah. And two, and there's a lot of people, even with that, with a lot of men, their mindset is the physical. All right. Well, we didn't do anything physical, but to the wife or to the woman, it's everything that led up to the physical.
Yeah.
It's all those other things beforehand. It starts with that mind. Like you even gave affection to another woman. That's like cheating. You know what I'm saying? You even shared things with this woman that only you should share with me. That's cheating with, you see what I'm trying to say? Like I never will forget, me and my wife, like I said, we were married 18 years by the grace of God. And we were at a marriage retreat. Praise God for those old school marriage retreats. We were at a marriage retreat, man. It had to be 10 years ago, I say. There was a pastor, a bishop, and his wife. And they were just getting really, raw with us and just talking about, sex and infidelity and all this other stuff. And the pastor's wife said, I was going to protect my husband. They took a trip to Hawaii. And she talked about years ago, they had took a trip to Hawaii and they went out to dinner, and the pastor and his wife saw a lot of hula dancers. And she saw the way her husband, now he wasn't necessarily looking to, but he can't help but to look because, all them hula dances, right? All those hula dances. That's part of the custom. You know what I'm saying? He's seeing,
right.
you know how they get down, right? Playing what do they call it? The ukulele, whatever it is.
Right.
Going to town.
Doing
all right.
All that,
So she went someplace. All right. Later that night, he went to the hotel room or whatever. She went out and found her a hula skirt. Okay. And she did her best hula. She said, I went to work in that hula skirt. All right. She said, I will be doggone if my husband goes to bed thinking about them hula skirts on another woman.
Yes, I love that. I
put
love
on that hula skirt.
Mm-hmm.
She danced and performed, and she said, after that, of course, you know what happens after he got on that hula skirt. Homeboy was out cold. All right. Woke up late to a meeting or to something they woke up late the next day for some outing that they had. All right. He laid it on her. But that's the type of stuff that you do. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Putting in that work.
That's what you do. And guess what? That is honorable. That's honorable.
Right.
Protect your marriage. Don't just give him all this lip. Well, you better not. No. Give that dude a reason not to go to sleep thinking about them hula dance.
A little spice is nice, okay?
Yeah. So that's part of being a good wife right there. You know, I'm gonna nip this in the bud. I'm gonna put something on him. He don't have to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
I love that attitude. Keeping it positive.